We are coming with another insightful episode. Today, we are joined by Alexander Fredericks, the founder of Tonwell. I would like to call him as a wellness intelligent who has more than 20 plus years experience in go-to-market ecosystem and especially wellness sector. Today, he's set to reveal lots of unique insights and blueprints as well. So please help me welcome Alex. So Alex, thanks for joining and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you having me on.
Perfect. So, Alex, recently I saw your LinkedIn post and I would like to start a conversation on that. For too long, health technology has been obsessed with measurement, tracking, and institutional infrastructure. But more data does not automatically create better decisions. More dashboards do not automatically create more well. Most important thing is turning technology into something human being actually want to use. I think that's a great starting point for our conversation, Alex.
Thanks. So, my background is in consumer goods, and the consumer goods is predicated on somebody using your thing, whatever it might be, taking it home, having a great experience, and telling their friends about it.
Hmm.
And that's the basis of all conversation when it comes to product, right? And product is a varying degree of things. You could be a mindfulness coach, you could be Tony Robbins, you could be a box of soap. Still has to do something that people get an efficacious result out of and then say to their friends, hey, I just did this great thing. So in the wellness space, and wellness is a sales category, let's get that out front first.
Yeah.
So when I'm selling you a product, I categorize it as wellness. That does not necessarily translate to well-being. Well-being is what you want for somebody. I hope that Hans has a sense of well-being. I hope that he is loved and fulfilled and has purpose, so on and so forth. So there is a trend in the last 5 years or so in wellness as it moves into longevity. And
Mhm.
longevity, by definition, is the collection of data being tracked over a period of time so that the measured outcome can then be studied. Doesn't actually mean that you are going to live longer. It's the study of longevity because life happens and things happen, and I can't tell you how much time you have. So the post was predicated on the notion that I think that the world is drowning in data. And I think it's purposeful. And I think that the more bits of and bytes of information that you have does not mean that you're going to come up with a better answer or solution set or game plan or a practical way for you to have that sense of well-being. And part of the ethos of the company that I have, Tonewell, is to help people build better relationships with themselves. And that comes with questions and answers. That comes with being able to give somebody actual insights as to who they are, not tracking something just to give you a number that doesn't translate into what to do about it.
Right. Perfect. So specifically, I mean, I want to talk about Tonwell. So you got the good starting point. First, actually, I was going through the whole page and then I already told you that I was so intoxicated with the solution that you guys build. I want to hear from you that, like, how did you come up with that idea? Was that a specific reason? I mean, to build a Tonwell, and you have a lot of experience in, I guess, music sector as well. So, like, how did you come up with that idea?
Sure. So first off, Tonewell uses a 30-second sound note, a sound clip, 30 seconds, and we run it through our proprietary algorithm, and we extrapolate about 1,000 biomarkers, and then we deliver a wellness report with actionable items to our customer in under 5 minutes. It's completely frictionless. The ubiquity of the phone, everybody's got one, is what we use as our tool, our implementation, and the ability to have automated workflow allows for the speed. So that's the how. Now the why, as I said, I come out of consumer goods. I actually started in the music business, and when I was making records in the very late 80s and early 90s, and I would mix the record for the client. On the mix desk was something called an oscilloscope. And an oscilloscope is something that is reading the hertz with inside of things. It looks like a circle with a cross in it, and there'd be this infinity symbol that's going through it. And when that thing was all fuzzy, you would say to the engineer or to the producer, something is out of phase, meaning it's not
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be. And you would start at the bottom of your frequency stack, 55, 82, what have you, meaning like that's where the bass is or the kick drum or whatever. And you'd work your way all the way to the top of the register and you would find the thing that was competing with something else. And when you got it in its right spot, the infinity sign was nice and clear and life would be good and you would move on. Fine. Fast forward 30 years, I'm no longer in the music business and I'm servicing clients and I'm in market strategy, audience capture to market strategy for, in this particular conversation, I'm doing wellness technology. You're a neurofeedback company, you're a hyperbaric company, you're an infrared company, you make NAD plus, so on and so forth. How do you capture your audience and the like? And I have a client that's in something called PEMF, pulse electronic magnification frequency. It is the use of frequency to help in a modality set. So how do I make you feel, be, and act better? And for them, they were a medical, they still are. They're a medical device that uses waveform for things like chronic Lyme's disease, autoimmune disease, or torn meniscus in your knee, or it's a new moon and you just feel out of phase. And how do I get back to center? And in that, they were changing the shape of the waveform. So a waveform can change its shape, like not all waves in the ocean, they all crest. Some are small, some are big, some are boxy, some go roll to the left. So in waveforms, you can change the shape of it. And then what the frequency bundled into that waveform was specific to what the outcome they were looking for. Meaning, if you have a torn meniscus in your knee, you might want to treat it differently than if you have Lyme's disease. They're different.
Yeah.
So in that conversation, trying to understand their technology with their science team, I intrinsically understood what they were doing because of my background in music. I know how to get something out of somebody's head through the instrument, recorded onto, when I started, it was tape. We would use a 2-inch tape that I would edit with a
Yeah.
razor blade onto tape, mixed, finished, so that somebody can listen to that. And in that process, you figure out signal flow, electricity, pathway, so on and so forth. So that's all the precursor to having a conversation. And I said to the person, so you're coming up the street, you're going one way, meaning you're delivering something. Could we go the other way? Could we analyze something? And they said, yes, there is 30 plus years of research. It's just not what we're doing. And in the what we're doing conversation, that's where entrepreneurialism is. Entrepreneurialism is recognizing what you can bring into the market. And that opportunity right there, that moment right there is where I said, we can do Tonewell. And this is what I would like to do. So the reason that I started Tonewell is actually pretty straightforward. For me, as somebody that's been doing consumer goods for as long as I have, the only truth is what you can bring into the universe. Like, other than that, you're just a participant. So when you decide to be an entrepreneur, it's because you're solving a problem that you think that you have the solution set for. And to the head of this conversation, I think that the world is spiraling in data, but doesn't have a directional true north for themselves.
Yeah.
And one of the things about voice that's very important is that it's the here and now. So as I speak, I'm projecting my nervous system and my physiology at all times. And with an accurate, which we are, analytic, you can get a snapshot of what's happening with you in that moment, as opposed to other tests, which are equally as valid for what they are used for. Blood, urine, hair, and saliva are incredibly great tests for what they're used for, but those are diagnostic tests. So you're not going to go to the doctor, have them send you out for blood, have the blood drawn, have the doctor read the exam and say to you, oh, this is what you can do this morning. What they're going to say to you is, this is what we see is going wrong, and here's the protocol for you. And though I think that that's a totally valid way to live your life, how do I myself become more empowered so that I can make better choices for myself and that I can build better habits for myself. So the
Yeah.
notion of what we do with Tonewell using a voice and the speed by which we can give back answers allows for the person interacting with us to make their own choices. And then those choices can be done today. And then therefore they can have a better sense of their well-being and more control in their space. And that's I just see an opportunity in the wellness market
Yeah.
to make things functional. I mean, it's actually for me that simple. Like, can I help you come up with the answer to the very basic question you're having, which is why don't I feel well? That's actually what people want to know. Why don't
Yeah.
they feel well? Why don't they function well? And feeling is a fleeting thing, like happiness is a fleeting thing. And I'm not trying to be morbid. If you were happy all of the time, how would you know when you're happy? So feeling like how I'm feeling right now is based on the moment that you're living in. And if that's part of the chemistry experiment that you are, then you should have a notion of what's going on with inside of your being so you can start feeling better by making the different choices. And that's really where it all comes from.
Yeah. And I want to mention that it's completely unique, the solution that you brought. And I think I haven't seen any kind of thing so far. So I'm gonna be honest, it's totally unique. But people often use, chanting music, tap into a chant and then hear the sound waves, and this is how people do. But this one is
Well,
game
okay,
changing.
so but that's the point, actually. So the point is, so I live in the United States. I am you know, a Judeo-Christian person, and I can tell you that the first line of the Bible is, "In the beginning, there was the Word." That's the first line of the Bible, and what that presupposes is that existence was spoken into creation. So if existence was spoken into creation, and we are all just riding a wave of frequency through the universe,
Yeah.
right? Which is why if you're a meditative person and you do yoga and you've ever seen one of those silly charts of somebody sitting in the lotus position, and their chakras are different colors, those different colors designate frequency. And you're never going to get to your crown chakra from your root chakra unless you can harmonize what opens the gate back to music. In
Hmm.
music, when I was mixing something and something was fighting against another frequency, you would say, hey, can you put a gate on that or a limiter? They're exactly what they do. A gate closes and a limiter suppresses. And that's kind of the world that we live in. So, one of the reasons for meditation is to remove the limitations that you have and to open the gates that are blocking, right?
Right.
So, not until you've been able to do that for yourself do you move along your own pathway. And on the very basic level, you can go to YouTube and put on
Yeah.
432 hertz.
Hmm.
Just listen to it quietly and you'll feel better
Yeah.
because we are resonant factor. Like it just is. So people that chant or singing bowls, all of that stuff is valid. But in today's modern society, I want to know how it's applicable. And that's
Yes.
all we're doing. We're just
Yes.
taking what's already existing. We're
Yeah.
having this conversation from the other side of the world. I'm on a
Hmm.
laptop that's connected to nothing, which means I'm on a particular bandwidth using a particular frequency and that it's happening in real time, which means that frequency is always there all of the time. And that's a really important understanding of what it is that we are and that we do to be able to draw from what is universal and make it a tool of today.
So this is a very exciting part for me specifically. I mean, when you were talking about your experience in music, it's very hard to see some people who took some transition from music to like entrepreneurship kind of things. Yeah, I could see people, but like how did you get that idea, right? So I had been in music audio engineering, and then I wanna take this entrepreneurship leap. So
Sure. So here's the thing, and this is gonna sound silly. The only
hmm,
thing I've ever wanted to be is myself. That's it. So when I was in college, I was very fortunate I found a band. I took them to the heights of where they were gonna go. They never became whatever.
yeah,
And along that way, I was on a path, and that path led me into I've been a tour manager and a producer and a this and a that. And when I realized that I wasn't going to like run a major record company, like I had hit my meniscus point, I'd hit the top of what I was going to be. It doesn't mean that that was the heights of me. It just meant that I went as far on that particular road as that road was going to allow me to go. So
yeah,
I left and I went into the next thing. But here's the thing, wherever you go, that's where you are. Meaning, I've taken all of the information, all of the experience, all of the relationships, and I just pivoted to the next thing. The thing I did after music was I went into hardcore consumables, things that were like skincare, fragrance, cosmetics, vitamins, supplements, but with a specialty of somebody else's DNA, meaning you were already somebody famous, you should have a fragrance, a skincare, a cosmetic. You are a really known such and such. Why don't you have a vitamin or a supplement or a gene company, whatever? And I did that for a good period of time. And you realize that your skills should be translatable. Otherwise, you're just a cog for somebody else. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, except for generationally that has disappeared.
Yeah.
So my parents are in their very late 80s, early 90s. And my father, though he was an incredible attorney, absolutely for him, brilliant guy, did very well. To be perfectly honest with you, his generation just needed to show up.
Mm.
He was born in 1936. Okay. So when he got out of college in the late 50s, early 60s, not everybody was an attorney. So he
Yeah.
just had to show up. And if he was a half decent, not a moron, could have made a great career, right? Just
Mm.
be an attorney. He
Yeah.
happened to be exceptionally good at what he did, but that's a different conversation.
Mm.
Generationally, just had to show up.
Yeah.
So by the time that my generation showed up, the X generation, I'm Generation X, we were legitimately told as children, at least here in the United States, you will never do as well as your parents. It's what we were told. So then you say to yourself, well, if that's the case, I'm not going to compete in that. I'm going to compete in the who am I?
Yes.
Right? And I have zero desire to be famous. I don't want people to know me. It's not what motivates me. So I want to be somebody that's interesting and useful. And I've made a career of people saying, you know who you need to call? You need to call Alex. He'll figure that out for you. Right. So as I kept growing through my career as being a problem solver, so you'll recognize anybody ever emails me, it actually says it in my email, rambunctious individual problem solver. It's what I am. Right. Because I put it out there. You have to have a calling card, whatever. I just kept going along the path. And because of that, I have all these various things. Like, I've done cannabis and alcohol companies. Cool. But I've also done hardcore QEEG and PEMF companies that are like medical companies. How do those two things fit? Well, they don't if you look at it from the outside, but from the inside, they do because they both need an audience. So the audience needs to understand what it is you're doing, why they need you, how they get engaged with you, what the cost of that is, what the benefit. There's a similar structure when you're a band and nobody knows you because you're starting in a garage. How do you get to Madison Square Garden? You solve the problem, right? So
Mm.
when I first had my first client out of music, I remember very distinctly the guy said to me, well, I have a blah, blah, blah company. What makes you think that you can help me? And my answer was, oh, you don't actually understand the business of music. I'm not a musician. I never wanted to be discovered. I happened to see something in my mind's eye. Like when I saw a band, I closed my eyes and I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's what we can do. So I said to the guy, oh, you clearly don't know the music business. Because when you start in your garage and you end up being the Beatles, you have 5 companies, 300 employees, you're traveling around the world, you have insurance, like, are you talking about? It's like a Fortune 50 company when you're name me the biggest artist you can name. Well,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is arguably a Fortune 50 company.
Mm.
Think of how many employees she has and how many contracts she has and how many vendors she has. What are you, insane? So
Insane.
to me, it was just the natural course of being me. The reason I got into wellness, honestly, is because I ran a marketing agency for years in New York City, advertising marketing agency that got absorbed by one of the big 5, whatever. And I started with companies that were green, and then green became organic, and then organic became wellness, and now wellness
Yeah.
is longevity. So when
Mm.
you just see their sales categories, something that was green was supposed to be good for the earth, lies. Something that was organic was supposed to be good for you, lies. Something that is in the wellness space is supposed to help you live better, lies. And then something that is longevity makes you think that you're living longer. No, 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 lies. All of it. What's not the lie is the internal understanding of what's efficacious. Some things are really green and good for the planet. There are some foods that are organic. I would suggest you eat those. there are things in a wellness sales category that will help you be better. And the notion of longevity, it's completely feasible. It has the other three things before. It has nothing to do with what you track, though. So for me, just understanding what a sales cycle was, like it's not easy to sell music. So then
Yeah.
it's not easy to sell the new widget, the new thing. And I just kept myself in the equation. So for
Mm.
me, yeah, I can tell a very straight story. I started with an oscilloscope and but that's not because I've done this 1,000 times. I know what my story is, right? But the reality of it is that I have zero desire to be a billionaire and rape the earth, like seriously. So I wasn't going to force myself onto the universe that way. I wasn't necessarily the guy for this job, so that limited my up and down. But
Yeah.
I have to work for a living. I have a family. I have bills. So you figure out what it is that is you,
Mm.
and
Mm.
then that's what you bet on. That's what you do for people, right? And that's so it's not all that different other than if you looked at it from like, the outside, yes, how does that work? But when you get to the crux of it, same thing. I'm trying to solve the problem for somebody. I'm trying to help them have a solution set. And as I said earlier, like our goal is to help people build better relationships with themselves because you would be amazed how few people actually do that,
Mm. Mm.
right? So that's all.
Profound, profound, Alex. Actually, I'm resonated with a lot of anger, to be honest. And especially, I want to mention that you said that, you were running advertising agency. Three people came to my mind. I hope you know about the guy called Jason Fladian. He was a rapper before he uh, you know became webinar guy. He do some webinar, and I could still remember some famous copywriters who also coming from a music background. I'm still thinking, like, are there are there any specific, like, any stuff going on, to become,
Yeah, so there's an interesting thing in music outside of all of the other arts. So when I was a music manager, I would have to explain this theory to people. You are either an artist, so forget the world. Doesn't matter. You're just creating art. Be an artist. It's like you can be a yogi and stay in the cave. You'll still be a yogi, right? Like you, and then anybody that finds you is
hmm,
blessed. You don't
yeah,
actually have to leave the cave, right? So you're an artist
yeah,
or you fit the suit. If you fit the suit, you're completely scalable, replicatable. I can make 1,000,000 copies of that. So, for example, like it's like when an artist finds their look. Bono of U2 is the easiest example. He can't change his look. He couldn't take off the silly glasses. Somehow U2 went from like this incredible art band, because they were in the 80s, this revolutionary art band, to they became so massive that they couldn't pivot any longer.
yeah.
Yeah, they became, oh, our sound is new and fresh. No, it's not. It's formulaic. It's completely formulaic. Now, I say that to say music is one of the very few commerce arts that we are very good at figuring out what the suit is.
Hmm,
Once it's in that box, that's the box. It's
yeah.
not the next one. It's not the one after that. This is your box. So webinars, very specifically, just because you brought it as an example,
Hmm,
there is a very hardcore architecture to top of funnel sales. There
yeah.
is a very hardcore architecture to upsell, revisit, retard. That is as hardcore, non waving as possible. That is a
Hmm,
suit. All webinars, not the content, but the construct are
yeah.
built on the same ones.
Yes.
So if you could understand, like, if you can take an artist from obscurity and put them in the mainstream, and that's the way it goes. So mainstream is one of those great uses of words because it's actually what it is. It's its own definition. It's the mainstream, right?
Yeah.
It's the Tigris, it's the Euphrates, it's the mainstream. It's not the tributary stream. So if you can figure out how to take something from obscurity and put it in the mainstream, you can do it for anything. Like legitimately, I can do it for chalk or cheese. Now, for Alex, particularly for me, if I don't understand it, I say no. And I've walked away from things that have gone on to be huge, but I didn't understand it and I don't like faking it. I can't. It's not in my personality. If I can see it, I can be it. I can make it happen. But I don't ever fake it to make it. Like faking it to making it's the stupidest expression of all time because it really does predicate that if you do make it, you're a fraud. That's what it means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. Fake it to make it. So be fake, be fake, be fake, be fake. Everybody loves you. Guess what? You get to be fake.
Yeah.
Authenticity actually wins because authenticity you can live with. You can live with yourself when you're authentic. So it
Yeah.
really should be if you can see it. If I can see it, I can be it. That's mindset. That's follow through. On and on and on. So I just mean like music and people that come out of the music business. Artists maybe also mean like I was the musician, but like I was
Mm.
in the music business. So I had
Yeah.
to argue over what does the cover look like? Does that cover get far enough in the message? Will enough people be attracted to that so that they play song number 3, which is the hit, right? Like those are real conversations. And
Yeah.
those conversations matter because then they help frame everything, right? So it's not surprising to me when I come across people and they're like, "Oh no, I used to be in the music business and I worked for X." You're like, "Oh, cool." Then you totally understand how to take the idea, right? Just the meme, which is the root of an idea, and
Yeah.
make it all the way the thing that comes out of somebody's mouth.
So let me ask this one as well. Definitely, I should ask this question because with your experience, have you ever thought that? I mean, did you have any feeling that you were in music business and then you were going through other ventures as well? Have you ever thought that? Did anybody say to you that why are you trying different kind of stuff? Why you can't focus for one thing and then go all in one? You know, this is something that we often hear this period, right? Do not focus for a lot of things, focus for one, don't try a lot of stuff, so focus for one thing. But you are totally different, completely different. So like how did you do that?
Well, there are a couple things in this. Okay. So, like, just because I'm a successful human being doesn't mean that I'm a successful businessman. And I'm not
Mm,
saying that I'm not. So,
mm,
like, you can't, you have to differentiate between the person and the thing sometimes. Okay. So, like, I've had an enormous amount of heartache and failure. I just don't take it personally.
yeah,
Okay. I live with a very simple philosophy that the rear view mirror is the size that it is for a reason, and I live through the windshield, right? So think about the proportionality of the windshield versus the rear view mirror. The rear view mirror is so things don't catch you, so things don't come flying up from behind you and you're surprised by them. That's your past. Know where it is, keep it behind you, live forward. I've had a lot of disappointment. I found huge bands and then I woke up fired for no good reason other than somebody bigger came along. I've had jobs that I wanted to have that disappeared. I've tried things that have failed. I've had partners leave me, and where'd all the money go? Fine. You know what? I still woke up every morning. The sun was shining. I happen to have love in my life. My wife is my best friend. Like everything else is like, whatever, cool. I'm okay. I'm a fulfilled human being. It was the first thing I did. Everything else is a career. I've had so many setbacks, it's absurd. But I also take them as like, you know what? I got up one more time. I have
mhm,
never been counted out. And I don't care if you've left me for dead. You weren't smart enough to kill me.
yeah,
So I resurrect and I keep moving. That's why I keep changing. Now, the other side of your thing is like until you find the shoe that fits, why are you wearing uncomfortable shoes?
yeah,
Why don't you keep trying new shoes until you find the one that fits?
yeah,
Matter of fact, I try to walk barefoot as much as I can because that's the most comfortable for me. And I mean that as an analogy to like, just because you found yourself in slot number 1 doesn't mean you need to stay in slot number 1. And that's actually not to like be totally philosophical. That is what the control system wants. They want you to be miserable in a place that you don't understand why you're stuck in it.
yeah,
Because if you've ever seen The Matrix, it's your choice to break out of it. But that comes with a whole different set of problems. Like, legitimately, I have friends that are wildly successful by bank account. I think they're miserable as human beings. I am wildly successful as a human being. Believe me, you don't want my bank account. Like,
mm,
believe me. But it's not the thing that drives me in the world. So I meant it flippantly, like sarcastically. I don't want to be a billionaire. Of course I do. If I had $1 billion, I wouldn't have to think about a whole lot of other things. But
yes,
that's not what I want to be identified by. It's
Yeah.
who do you wanna be? When somebody describes you, you'll recognize billionaires are described as billionaires. They're not described as, "He's the greatest, nicest, most fulfilled, wonderful guy. He's so funny and jovial. He really helps all of these people." None of that is in that description. So
Yeah.
it is a matter of who you wanna be. When you look in the mirror, who is it that you wanna be? I think that everybody's shattered, meaning like none of us are these perfect little things. It's whether or not you want to accept the broken pieces, be okay with them, put them
Right.
back together, and then wabi sabi, which is the Japanese form of things that are broken that are put back, right? And if that thing becomes this beautiful, right? So the notion of death is you die three times. Your last breath, when they put you in the ground, and when the last person speaks about you in time immemorial. So the third one is the one you should be working towards because you can't affect the other two. And if the third one is he was such a beep, 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 is that really what you want to be? If they just describe you because your bank account, oh my God, his bank account was huge. Like, so for me, just as a person I was at the top of things and then got thrown off of it. And you're like, wow, that's a far drop. And I bounced off the floor. So then sooner or later, like I'm in my 50s, so I have hindsight, right? So at some point I went, you know what? I think it's far more important that I sleep at night, that the woman next to me that loves me, that I love, is okay with who I am. Like those things just became more important to me. And as silly as this sounds, it allowed me to be wandering through the forest to find, right, to root the thing that I think is going to that's my legacy. I couldn't have found Tonewell and created what we're doing if I was like laser focused on a path and this is no, I'm out for optionality. And that's just me. Like I believe me. I was a I'm a hero's journey person, meaning like I like philosophy. And if I walked up to the woods and there was a path and a no path, I'm a no path person. It's just what I am. It's how I'm built. Like and I have plenty of friends that are go on the path. You'll be good. I'll see you on the other side. I might be a little late for dinner, but believe me, I'm going to get there. You have a nice stroll through the path. It's very scenic. You can see all of the highlights. I am going to go bushwhacking. That my clothes might get torn. I might go a little bit thirsty or hungry, but I know which way the sun rises and falls. I'm good. I got a compass. I'll see you when I get there. That's just me. It's who I am. So I can't say what other people are. I can just tell you what I am. And my biggest fear in life is mediocrity. It's
Mm.
not, do you know me? It's, did
Yeah.
I do something that mattered? Not, oh my God, that's Alex. I don't care about that. So that's just me. I can't, you know.
It's all about be yourself. I love that. So, I mean, before we wrap up this particular part, just do you have any suggestions, or I would say kind of thoughts that you would like to add, that anybody who is in 20s, 30s and goes with the same life path that you went during that time? Because I do have a lot of friends who goes same life path. They were in music, and not only music, different sectors. Do you have any stuff for people like that? Like maybe
Yes,
to
for my
yeah,
my answer to most people that aren't like that are young is you should be able to forgive yourself. You should be okay with failure, and I'm not trying that you should go seek failure, but if there are legitimately 8 billion of us running around this planet, it's hot, flat, and crowded, and there are only so many slots. So when I was in music and I was talking to artists, I would say to them this: intrinsically, we're in the music business, so we all love music. Great,
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah,
Now recognize there's a huge list of no and one box of yes. So it's
right,
your job to eliminate the no's, so the person can only say yes. Now here's the problem: you're not unique.
yeah,
There are 1,000 people trying to be you. And what if that person gets all the boxes of no first and then gets the box of yes before you? Does that make you lesser than? No, it doesn't. So you need to be able to forgive yourself and like not take it so personally. Like I get it. Everybody wants to be Elon Musk. Congratulations. Fantastic. Recognize that he's a construct.
mm,
Elon Musk did not make Elon Musk, believe me. It just didn't
yeah,
happen. Elon
yeah,
Musk got a lot of boxes of yes that people went, oh, this is my guy Elon. You know Elon? You should know Elon. Let me bring Elon in the room. He did not create himself. I don't care what the fanfare says. He
yeah,
didn't. Because I can tell you, his first company when he was 19 was backed by a financial firm that is still the financial firm that's backing him now in his 40s. Do you think that that is because he's such a wonderful human being? Or they were like, you know what, this guy's pretty good. We're going to back this horse. It's just a horse in the race. Not trying to take away from him or be pedantic. I'm just saying to anybody that listens, you don't need to be him. You need to be the best version of you, and then the universe says, you know who you should know? When that person comes into your life, that's where it goes. But you should be okay with failure, because failure is the ability to learn and ideate. And so when I work, I do a lot of coaching still because I have to run a business. Like I have to make money because
Mm,
I'm running a startup,
yeah.
right? And when people say to me, like, I'm a serial entrepreneur, which I'm actually not, this is my first entrepreneurial. When people say to me, I'm a serial entrepreneur, I'm like, oh, you know how to fail. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, excuse my language. I'm trying to get to the root of it because people that have been successful as entrepreneurs always say, I've had multiple exits. That means I know how to build something, sell it to somebody else, and do the next thing to build. That is cool. When I'm a serial entrepreneur, it means I have failed a lot, but I keep trying. That's amazing. That's wonderful. That's the attitude that you need to win the game. Maybe not this round, maybe not this period, but the game of life, which
Yeah.
is how hard can I beat you and how much are you willing to rise above it? It's why faith is important, not which one doesn't matter. Believe in the universal harmonic and recognize that when you're in tuned to it, things begin to happen, right? But when you're completely not in tune with it,
Right.
you're like, why am I stuck here?
Yeah.
So that's my only advice is like, forgive yourself, move on.
Perfect, perfect. I know time is running so hardly, so I hope we'll have another conversation, especially in this topic. So let me ask a final one. So at the moment, you have been successfully running Tonewell. So just talk about, I mean, what type of challenges that you have been facing when you bring that product to the market. I know you do have a lot of strategies. You are coming from sales and marketing backgrounds as well. So, like from founder perspective, what type of challenges that you encounter right now when you bring a product? Like it's new and it's fresh.
Yeah.
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 So,
I mean, so yeah. Mike Tyson is very famous for saying everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
mm,
Okay. So welcome to running a startup. Yeah, I got a million plans. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows who I am. I have a million plans. It doesn't matter because every day I have to pay the bills.
yeah,
So the hardest thing to do is just to get up every day and keep going in anonymity and having something that you know can change people's lives, but they have no idea who you are. How do you get to them? There are only three channels in this world. Seriously. YouTube, Google, LinkedIn. Where else am I going? Like, yeah, Meta. Sorry, YouTube and Google are the same. So I was right. Meta, Google, and maybe LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the most expensive and the most useless. Where are you finding people? TikTok? What do you think you're going to spend X amount of dollars? Like it's so hot, flat, and crowded. There's so much noise. It's moving 1,000 miles per hour. It doesn't matter that I think I have the greatest bet until I get your attention. I can be screaming all day, and now I have no voice left. Right? I have to raise money all the time. Even though I have a business that when it takes off will do well for itself, I have to keep it moving because I'm always building our new iteration of tech and our new launch, our new feature, our new I have teams, I have marketing people. What do you think that the marketing team that's helping me with my meta is like, no, I'll get it to you next month. Nope. Gotta pay them this month or else they don't work. Right. I have teams. There's an endless barrage of things that you need to deal with. I could go on forever about what those parameters are. But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to inject yourself into something that you're going to give 100% of yourself to, don't do it. It becomes harder the more it scales. When it's just you tinkering around in your closet, you can do it at your own whatever. As soon as you hire somebody or bring somebody in, they now want to know what the plan is, and how am I getting paid? As that keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, that's what you do. So it's all wonderful problems to have, but like I need to get to 1 million scans a month, which means I need to get from what I'm charging now to what I need to ultimately charge. But that only comes with scale. But you can only get to scale by audience. How do you get audience? Well, that's a cost per CAC. What's my
yeah,
CAC? What's my TAM? What's my LTV? I can talk about that stuff all day. But the reality of it is, it's like, first you have to get somebody to stop. Just go to try sell something on the street in Manhattan or wherever. Find me the busiest city you want to be in. Go into Jakarta and stand in the street and try to get somebody to stop and pay attention. I can change your life. Yeah, they're like, yeah, great, great, great. They just keep going. So you have to get them to stop, and then you have to get the thing. It's the same. We all have
Yeah,
the same issues. It becomes scalable. So when I'm whatever company and I can spend, a AG1 or whatever, and I can spend $150,000 a day on meta ads, I might have a bigger shot. When I'm spending $5 a day or $50 a day, what do I really think is going to happen? It's the same, it's the same. So there's nothing unique in my problem set. There's uniqueness in my solution set, which is why I'm willing to take on the problem of the same fight we're all having. The same crowded marketplace, the same attention span disorder, the same I know better. It's all the same.
right. Perfect, perfect. That's love that answer. Amazing. So, Alex, I know after hearing this podcast, there might be a lot of people who want to reach out to you, maybe to get some consultation or maybe to, you know, get some feedback. So, for those people, where they can go and how they can find you.
Well, my name Alex Fredericks with the face that I have. I can be found at alex@tonewell.co, which is our website. My name beforehand, that's my email. I can be found because I have alexfredericks.com, because I've been Alex Fredericks for 53 years. So funny enough, I'm pretty findable by Google search. And it's an interesting thing, as you recognize, like, I actually answer emails and texts, and I always will. I always have. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in God's way of being anonymous, which means, like, if you didn't pay attention, it's not your fault that you didn't get what the universe wanted you to give you. So you
Yeah.
have to follow up. You have to follow emails. Like, how long does it take to be like, oh, thanks for this? What, like, and we're like, I'm on LinkedIn, right? So, which is why I pushed back on you a little bit to understand it, because I get solicited by a million things a day, but I actually answer all of those ones. And then as soon as they're trying to sell me something, I'm like, I'm not the guy. Thank you. But I do, because you never know where you're going to meet the next person or thing or idea. So I'm very findable. I'm very reachable. If I could show you my emails or texts, I have no unread messages, because that's my OCD. Like, it would drive me crazy, because people do it to me, so I don't do it to other people. So yeah, if anybody wants to find me, find me.
Right. Okay. So, guys, definitely I'll add those links in our description. So, you guys can reach out him through those links. Again, Alex, thank you so much for your valuable time and especially the unique insights that you shared with us. Definitely, if anybody can repeat this podcast, this will be an amazing one for them. So, personally, I learned a lot because I have been going something as same as like you, so it's great to have you, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in another day, somewhere else, and then have a further conversation. So thanks again. Thanks for joining with me, Alex.
Appreciate you having me on. I wish the best of luck to everybody out there.
All right, guys. So then we'll see you in another episode. Until then, be yourself and keep your curiosity. Thanks.